So this is the Malaska Golf Masters preview. As a bonus for those of you who join the Malaska Golf Elite level, you're going to get a big discount relative to the normal price for joining the first year. The other thing you're going to get is part of the Nicklaus interview. And I think the last and the most important part is you're going to get a free swing check with one of the Malaska Golf instructors. I mean, you really can't beat that for the price. Just a lesson alone would be more than that price. So it's a big, big, big value. And again, it's a thank you for joining the elite level of Malaska Golf. Well, I've been watching all year, watching the game, watching these guys play, and you know, everybody has access to numbers, and they're all running in numbers. But there's three players that if I was going to bet on, that I would bet on. One would be Scotty, for obvious reasons. I mean, he's right up there every week. You know, he's had some struggles, but Randy, his coach, I know Randy, and he's had the same coach since he was a kid, so they're not wandering too far. And it doesn't take much to find if he's a little off, why he's a little off, because they've stayed within the same fundamentals of his swing for his entire life. So he's got to be the best pick right now. I mean, he's consistent, he knows his game. When you watch him play, you watch his misses, he can play when he's not playing well. The next would be Rory, and what I see in Rory's game, everybody loves Rory's tempo. Rory's kind of modern day Ernie Els. So he's got this just smooth swing and this motion that's just got so much speed and power to it, but it also has some complex movement patterns in it that watching him over the years, in my opinion, has been a big reason why he's struggled, especially at Augusta or when he gets wide under pressure and losing control of the ball a little bit. And it looks to me like everything he's talking about, some of the drills I see him doing and what I see him talking about, he's actually fixing those issues to where he's got more control of the club. It's in a better position. It's the circles that I watch, the motions are more blended. He doesn't have as much potential to really get something way off. So Rory's got to be a pick. I mean, he's got to be a favorite. The last one is Bryson DeChambeau. Now, you might go, why him? Well, if you look at all the picks, I mean, it's those two guys and then everybody else is 10% or less. But Bryson has the game because he has the ability to overpower the golf course, which he tried to do 3 or 4 years ago, didn't work. And then he kind of modified, and he's kind of, I think, gotten to the point where he understands where his power works there and where it doesn't work. He's a marvelous chipper, he's a great putter, and he has the ability to use that distance if he uses it in the right spots. He didn't just overpower every golf hole. You don't go out there and try to drive it on number 3. You don't try to drive it on, or way up there to hit a sand wedge on number 7 if the pin's front left. I mean, I could put you there with a dozen golf balls right 60, 70 yards from the green hole and you couldn't get it within 15, 20 feet. So Bryson has the ability to do and hit the shots he needs to hit. It's a big golf course. When they stick those tees back at Augusta, it's long. And so there are certain holes, like number 13, where a lot of guys can't get around the corner with the new tee. He could still get around the corner. So there's one shot that he could use that distance. You know, so I think he's kind of learned how to use his distance and also dial it back where he's got control, where he doesn't hit bad shots in the wrong spots. And in the interview we did with Jack Nicklaus, Jack talked about 4 or 5 shots at Augusta that are critical. And if you play those 4 or 5 shots well and you don't get yourself in trouble with those 4 or 5 shots, you're going to play the golf course fairly well. Now, I don't think I'm going to let that secret out relative to what he said. That's something that Malaska Golf has access to, and you can come on and see what he said about it. But there are 4 or 5 shots, and if you look at every golf course, there's 4, 5, or 6, not holes, shots that are probably going to determine how well you play. And if you get through those 4, 5, or 6 shots and you just don't throw up all over yourself and do something horrific, you're going to play fairly well. Well, Augusta has 4 or 5 critical shots. And again, if you play those decent, and if these guys do it, I think they're all learning more and more about it. They have access to Jack. He talks to Rory. He'll talk to anybody, which is really interesting because his insight into how to play Augusta should be something that anybody who's on tour full-time, who's playing there, should want to understand. Jack, how did you play the golf course? What did you see? What did you feel? What was going on? I mean, are you kidding me to not talk to him when he's willing to talk? I don't quite understand that. So those are the main things. Now, I do have this, in Instead of the Masters, it's Malaska Golf Mike in rehab. So I turned 70 last year, and 70 was like the rebirth of a new playing of golf. So it's resetting my priorities, which a lot of you out there, I mean, you're in my same age group, or maybe a little less. And so how do you go about not trying to do what you did when you were 35, or not being able to do it and still have fun with golf? Well, I've started to make a lot of adjustments there. Now, the other thing is I've got a really bad right hip and a really bad right knee that I have to have replaced. So I'm going to go through showing everybody what I'm going through, how I'm rehabbing, what it's doing, because I really think that the rehab and the time I'll have away, I'm going to start practicing some things that are going to help me be even better with my golf swing when I come back. And that's one thing I learned. Injuries can a lot of times be a perfect time for you to actually, as you're rehabbing or as you have time off, to recondition what your golf swing really is. I was able to speak at the National New York, the Medical Convention back in the early 2000s. And the talk was all about rehabbing injuries and how do they get people to be more committed to their exercises. Well, when we started talking about golf, regardless of the injury, the rehab, I could tie it into, if you do this rehab and you focus on this, here's how that fits into your golf swing. So people became a lot more interested in their rehab because every exercise they did, they could see or connect it with something they were supposed to do in their golf swings, which a lot of times when you do rehab with people, and I was big involved with this in the 80s, when you do rehab and they're doing an exercise, say, okay, that's what your golf swing should feel like. And they go, really? I've never felt that. Well, that's why you're no good, because you've never really understood or felt something. So what's interesting is when you start taking the body and you move it to rehab it, you're also programming it or awakening it relative to something you want to do. So it's going to be interesting as I go through this to figure out and to see what it does for me. I've had to make some adjustments. And last fall, as I tried to play, I just couldn't play through the pain. I couldn't do it anymore and have any fun with it. So that's where I'm going with it, and we're going to keep you up to date, and I'm going to keep you seeing what's going on in case you're going through some of the same things I'm going through. I also want to introduce to you the new Malaska Golf. Now, what does that mean? Well, we've got so much more information, and we've got a tier system now where somebody can, well, I don't want to spend this, I just want to look at this and just kind of get involved and see if it's something I really want. And then if you want to get more involved, where you start to say, you know, I'm practicing a little bit more and I want to really get in. This made sense to me. How do I increase my knowledge behind that? And then finally, the elite level that lets you have access to all the information and all of these other things relative to Nicklaus interviews, how to play golf, you know, how to get your maximum distance with Justin James. So it's a process of how much information that you want. So I'm excited about it because I can get people involved at different levels. And a lot of times when you just have one level, everybody thinks, well, I really can't afford that. And the lowest level, the lowest tier, really, what you have to pay for that relative to the information and what it's going to do for you as a player, what you're going to understand, I mean, it's ridiculous how cheap it is. And I know you've heard that from multiple other sites and everybody says that. But when I've been through this game where I have, and the whole I feel your pain and what I've been through and what I see in the industry today, a lot of what I see being taught today, I fell into the same things they're teaching now 35 years ago because I had access to biomechanics, force plates, and all the things that really weren't accessible at that point in time for most people because of the people that I was involved with and the experts I was around. Now all of a sudden everybody has access to that. And they're making a lot of the same mistakes that I made when they saw the golf swing as a science. They start to teach as a science. And golf is an art form. It is not a science. Science is the study of what's happening. It's not necessarily the way to do it. So that's another thing I can help you through with a lot of the science that's out there. How does it apply? How do you make it work or not work? What's worth looking at and not? So I'm really excited about the way we've designed the new site and the tiers because it gives people access to different levels at different commitment levels, but they can all help you.